Hello, my friends. Jeremy Siskin here. I'm the author of Jazz Piano Fundamentals, playing solo jazz piano, and then the brand new Spanish translation, Tocando Solo Jazz Piano. And today I want to show you a really nice way to create your own NeoSoul style chord progression. And I need you to stay with me for all the steps here. If you abandon ship too early, you're going to think this video is lame. But I think that if you stay with it until the end, you're going to think that it's cool. I might be wrong, but I hope that you trust me enough and we'll figure this out together. So just in case you don't know what NeoSoul means, this is a style that's really popular in jazz-related music right now, and probably Robert Glasper is like the most important person in this style. And it's this style that reflects singers like, let's say, Erykah Badu, the music of people like Frank Ocean, that has these really colorful chord progressions which feel really jazz related. I'll play not any specific example, but I think what's interesting about this to people, and I don't think that was the greatest NeoSoul progression ever, I totally recognize that. I think what's interesting about this to students is that the chords seem really unrelated. Like we might go from, an E major, E flat major to like an A major 7, or, to a D flat major. Like these chords that, kind of defy our tonal logic. They're not going to come from the same key center. And so I have one way, I don't think this is the definitive way, but I think this is a really useful way to come up with chord progressions that make sense and yet have all of this harmonic diversity. So I think at the center of a lot of these chord progressions is our pentatonic scale. If you're not familiar with the pentatonic scale, we're going to be talking about both the major and minor versions. For any key, you can find the pentatonic scale by taking the root, second, 3, 5, and 6. So we're leaving out the 4th and the 7th, which are the two most dissonant notes of the pentatonic scale. There's a million things that are interesting about this scale. The first is that none of these notes are dissonant. These are all consonant notes. It sounds a lot like Asian folk music. And this scale is used in a lot of pop music, and it's very related to blues scales, which we'll talk about a little bit in a second. The other thing that's interesting is that the pentatonic scale is actually, if you think about it, starting on the root note, it's actually 5/5 up from that root note to get the notes of the pentatonic scale, which is maybe one reason why it sounds so consonant, because if you study sound, the 5th is one of the most essential fundamental tones. Okay, now what we're going to do with that pentatonic scale is we're going to figure out which chords can go with the pentatonic scale. And I'm going to make a list. I'll do the first few with you, and then I've pre-written down quite a few. So E flat major certainly goes with that, right? It's the E flat pentatonic scale. But all of those fit in beautifully also with an F minor, right? All these are the notes of an F Dorian, or A flat major, or B flat sus, or even D flat major 7 sharp 11. Okay. So I've made a list, and I'm sure we could quibble a little bit about things that I've left out, but this is a pretty good list of the chords that fit with this pentatonic scale. E flat major, F minor, G minor with that flat 6 to accommodate the E flat in the pentatonic scale, A flat major, A7 altered is actually really interesting. B flat sus, C minor, and D flat major 7 sharp 11. Right, the sharp 11 is the G natural there. So before we go on to the next step, I want you to try to make some chord progressions using this group of chords. And what's going to be nice is you should be able to keep the same note on top for each of these chords. It could be E flat. But it could be any of the notes of the pentatonic scale, actually, right? And one thing I want you to notice is, other than this A7 alt, there's not a dominant chord here. And this is really typical of this style, this NeoSoul style, that we don't have a 5-to-1. We might have some other 5 chords, but usually it's we're going to use a lot of sus chords instead of dominant chords. So you gotta have the F on top, you gotta have the G on top. You gotta have B flat on top. Okay. So play around with that. And then our next step is we're going to go to the E flat minor pentatonic scale. And the formula for a minor pentatonic, and this is as compared to the E flat major scale, would be 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. This is a nice one in E flat because it's all of our black keys. It's pretty easy to remember. And this only has one note different than the blues scale. If we add in the sharp 4 or flat 5 in between the A flat and B, we get our blues scale. So pentatonic, especially minor pentatonic and blues, are really close with one another. You can probably guess what we're going to do next, which is that we're going to add, no, we're not going to add anything. We're going to figure out what chords can fit with this E flat minor pentatonic. And I'm going to skip ahead and give you my list here. So I'll play. We could maybe debate about this D flat over F, but I like the sound of it. Right, that G flat, it's a little crunchy, but it works. A flat minor, B major, C7 alt, D flat sus, definitely works. So again, then I want you to try moving between some different chords from this list. Try some different notes on top. Choose all your notes from that minor pentatonic scale. Then, what I want to do, and I'm going to switch camera angles here with amazing technology, is we're going to mix and match between these two lists. And you might have trouble seeing where the lists are, so I'm going to circle them for you. And this is where we're going to get a lot of that colorfulness that we get in the in the NeoSoul style, is by mixing between these major and minor pentatonic. So let's try. I'm going to go from E flat major in the top to G flat sus in the bottom. Sorry. And then let's go to C minor on the top. How about to B major 7? let's go to F minor, to A flat minor. And I don't always have to go back and forth, but it does yield a lot of color changes when you go back and forth between the major and the minor. So F minor, A flat minor, and then let's go to the C7 alt. And back to this G minor flat 7. E major to D flat over F, to B flat sus, to G flat sus. So by choosing these chords based on the pentatonic scale, you're actually getting everything locked into the same key center, E flat, whether it's major or minor. And you're going to find these different pockets of really interesting colors. But they are going to have this key relationship of these two pentatonic scales. So that is one really nice way to come up with a NeoSoul chord progression that has all of this color, but also has a lot of things keeping it together. Again, I'm not saying that it is the only way, but I think it's a kind of a nice way to get started. Again, check out my books. I've got Tocando, solo jazz piano, and Upside Down, playing solo jazz piano, because I'm a true professional here. And I've got Jazz Piano Fundamentals. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. I'll see y'all soon.